Okay, welcome back everybody. As you can see, I've got everything built up and lined up, and I've changed my mind for a change, as I always do. So, I've divided everything up into groups of effort. We have here in the front line, we have the low effort group, including this particular Deathcopter. Yes, this one in particular. He's low effort. He's not glued. Only the blades are glued together, but I can disconnect it from the body. He's not glued. None of these guys are glued. Then we have medium effort. Two more Deathcopters. Again, not glued. Medium effort. Not bothered. Then we have our high effort group here, which includes all the shooter boys, the big shooters, and the knobs. So they're general army, but a little bit more effort. Then we've got the war boss, and he's in a group of his own, and it's called the do I, don't I, maybe I should, shouldn't I, high, medium, high effort group thing. Yeah, he's there. Maybe. So I ramble on for nearly an hour talking about basing and sand and the whole fact of if you take your time putting PVA on, it makes cleanup a lot easier. So, lesson learned. So, do the usual, base coat the boys, and I decide that I want to give the oil wash another go and dunk them. So I gave them plenty of time to dry and started wiping off the excess with a makeup sponge soaked in white spirits. But I noticed that it was actually taking the paint off in some places, which I'm not very happy about. And I think it's to do with the primer that I'm using with the airbrush. So again, I changed my mind. I don't like painting boys. I want a quicker, easier way of doing it. So I figured I'll paint some copters instead. And I decided to dry brush for the first time in God knows how many years. I don't think I've done it since I was a child, as you can tell by the quality of my dry brushing. I brushed it, I was using a brush that I wasn't used to, and I was using far too much water in the brush. But hey ho, accidents happen. So next up, I decided to try doing a glaze of Avalon Sunset, sort of like a contrast paint, on top of this dry brush, and it just looked terrible. I was not happy with it, so I decided not to do that. So I decided to do some research, and it turns out that yellow has become a little bit more vibrant when they're on bone colour or white. Obviously, you want white for your highlights, bone for your midtones. So I decided to give that a try. And this has caused me to go further down the rabbit hole and start looking at contrast paints. So I've been into my local shop and I've picked up a couple of contrast paints. I have a yellow and a green at the minute. And honestly, they're pretty good. I really do like them, honestly. So further down the rabbit hole I go, I decide to have a look at undertones for yellows again. Now, I remember that pinks work very nicely, and I watched a video by Alex at 52 Miniatures on his yellow colour, which is an absolutely fantastic video, fantastic creator. If you're not subbed to him, go sub to him. I'm not affiliated with him in any way, I just like his content. And if for some reason you're watching me and not him as well, what are you doing? Go subscribe to him. Anyway, that's enough ass kissing. I just enjoy his content. But I decided to give it a go with the whole purple oil wash thing. Now, I'm not sure if it's due to the fact that I've picked up a water-soluble variant of an oil colour, or whether it's just me doing it wrong. It's probably me doing it wrong, but it didn't work for me. But I did try it on a larger scale miniature. Maybe it'll work better on individual minis, but as for a giant monstrosity like a Death Dread, I wouldn't recommend doing it. So, whilst waiting for the oil wash to dry, I decided to chuck an hour into painting a gun to a high standard. and I chose the flamer and then realized that I wouldn't actually be using the flamer for a while. So that was kind of a waste, but hey ho, I do like the result. So I got out the makeup sponges again and the artist's white spirit and started wiping off the excess from the Death Dread. But this was a huge chore. Now, on something like a Space Marine that has curved panels and everything like that, and not very many spiky bits and this, that and the other, it's a breeze. It takes seconds. But on something like a Dreadnought, where you want the shading underneath something and not above, it's a nightmare to get it out of it. And honestly, I'm probably going to look at doing something like this more so in the future, but I'm going to pick my places opposed to washing the whole thing. I then changed my mind. as I wasn't happy with the results. Like I said, it took a long time to clean it off. Was not happy, decided to start again. So I decided to use magenta inks from the underside of the model to do the lowlights that way. And I thought, oh, I've put way too much on there. That's not going to look right. But it actually looked better. And in the future, I'm going to actually put on more than I think is actually needed. And this is where things got interesting for me. The deadline for me completing my combat patrol had come and gone, and I was nowhere near finished with the painting, and I went into the store and had my very first game of Warhammer 40,000 after 31 years. And never in my life have I ever seen such bad dice rolls. I didn't lose a single unit. My opponent was playing Tau, and his first shot hit and landed on my Dreadnought, and it caused 3 wounds, and I thought, no, this is going to be the end of the game. I'm going to get absolutely wiped. And he missed everything after that. Everything. So I was gobsmacked. But sadly, I don't have any footage of this. I don't know if the chap wants his name mentioned or anything, so I'm not going to. And yeah, at that point, I thought I'd treat my partner. So I got her a combat patrol for Tyranids, but the newer models. So I had to buy a starter set and an extra squad, and it cost, I think, a couple of pounds extra, but I've now got a rule book and some extra dice and a little battle mat, so me and the missus can learn how to play properly together, which is fun. So maybe in future episodes we can see how her projects are coming along. So because the game was done and I was back home, I was revitalized and over the moon at the fact that I'd won the game, and yeah, just the whole experience. It was wonderful. So I figured I'd put a bit more effort into the Dreadnought, and I decided to start with working on the mask. I then remembered that the combat patrol actually has a set loadout, and the figures that I was using on the table weren't correct to the loadout. So in order to make things easier for me and my partner in the future, I decided to change the knobs back to how they should be in conjunction to the combat patrol loadout. So that means changing them back to a slugger pistol and a power claw, and then I need to change one of the heavies to a rocket launcher. And as simple as that, everything was back to how it should be. And that is where I'm going to end it for today. So moving forward, I have decided that I am not going to set myself any more silly speed projects because I can't do it. It stresses me out. It triggers my anxiety, makes me twitch more. You know, I'm just a cripple out of sausage, so I find it very, very hard to do that sort of thing. I don't deal with the pressure very well. So I'm going to keep things more relaxed, and I think a better way of structuring things would be good for me and for these videos and for the channel, etc. So moving forward now, I'm going to start doing what I'm going to call my hobby journal. And that will be me practicing a certain thing for a week, starting at the very, very, very beginner level. And we're going to work through it. And hopefully I can improve my painting. And hopefully you guys will follow along and maybe even try and do the things that I've done in my video throughout the week and see how you get on. And then in the next video, hopefully pick up something else and do the same. A bit like hobby homework. Yeah, we'll call it hobby homework. But anyway, thank you very much for watching. I do hope you have enjoyed it. Please don't forget to do all the usual YouTube things for me. Like, comment, subscribe, the bell thing. Does that still exist anymore? I don't know. Thumbs up, thumbs down, whatever you feel like doing. Tell me how good the video is or how bad it is, what you want to see more of or less of whilst I'm doing my stock footage stuff, because yeah, I don't really know what you guys want to see specifically, so let me know. Anyway, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye.